Hi, I'm Anna Maria Horsford, and you're listening to You Might Know Her From with Damien and Ann.
Well, folks, we recorded it once, and now we're back at it a second time.
Ooh, don't you love that fresh second take? Two-take ponies, that's what they call us in the biz. What a world. Wow. This episode's still produced by Ronette the Pit. She is here. What did she get this time? She got a peanut butter bone for take one. What about take two?
Take two, she's got a cow's kneecap.
You showed me something that you bought for her, and I was like, it was Flintstones in style.
Yeah, that's
I was
her
shocked.
femur. That I get to take away because I couldn't handle listening to her chew it. I was like, you're going to get sick.
Remember when you and I used to get bone broth in the winter? That place closed.
I was just talking about it because I went and bought a bunch of bone broth the other day from Whole Foods because I wanted it. And I was like, does Barney's bone broth still exist? I was obsessed with it.
It was this little window sort of right between the East and West Village. And it was great. It was stupid and expensive, but it was good. And I felt like I never had healthier bowel movements than when I had bone broth. I decided to just say it. I hesitated. Do I want to put this on the record? Yes, I do. Here I am at 38.
Talk. Welcome to another episode of You Might Know Her From.
With Damien and Ann.
I'm Damien.
I'm Ann.
And we are recording in person. And as we said, this is our second take. And this is the little show that we host where every week we come here, we talk about our friendship, we talk about what's going on in our world, we talk about pop culture goings on, we talk about pop culture things that are not relevant but that we care about, we talk about whatever, and then we host a wonderful actress in the middle of all of our BS, and that's what we do here. So welcome aboard.
It's been already, we're 11 days at the time of recording into January, and we've already lost more people. We lost the great Sidney Poitier, who lived a full life, which is nice that he sort of got to really get his flowers and obviously is an icon and respected and a beautiful human. We also lost Bob Saget at 65, which was really
very
shocking.
sad.
And he is sort of very much a part of our childhood. And I don't know if people knew just how beloved he was. People came out of the woodwork just saying, he was a great supporter of mine. He is really soulful. He was apparently he hosted Ann Mira's funeral, emceed it because they had a late in life friendship.
Oh, that's so
and
sweet.
I kind of thought he was maybe a comedy bro based on the blueness of his jokes, and him in Half Baked was such a moment for us as teenagers when he was like, "Have you ever sucked dick for coke?" But then turns out he actually, by all accounts, is just was a tremendous human. So R.I.P. Bob Saget.
R.I.P. Bob Saget. Do you want to say anything about the loss of your dear love, Robert Durst, who also died?
Bobby Durst. Look, you know I have a soft spot for Bobby Durst only because, well, look, he's New York's favorite serial killer. His family name is all over New York City real estate, including Lincoln Center. Lincoln Center is basically created by the Dursts. But I don't know. He was such a fascinating character and also lived. Do you remember in Texas after he was escaping having killed somebody else, he went into hiding in Texas and posed as his as a deaf mute woman and then murdered his roommate or his neighbor and then dismembered and then went to trial for that because he was caught, admitted that he had dismembered this person's body and then got off. This is what Durst money can do. It's horrifying, but it is also just such a fascinating thing. The Jinx is a problematic documentary and very, I think it's unethical in the way it's produced, but it is really thrilling from beginning to end. Killed them all, of course. I mean, it really is just R.I.P. Bobby Durst. He was a terrible person.
You know who else passed away? And I discovered this in preparation for doing our intro-outro, and that is Maria Ewing, who is an opera singer. And I found her because I was researching Rebecca Hall, who directed Passing, and then I was like, oh, Rebecca Hall's mother was a black woman who was an opera singer, and then I was like, oh, she just passed away on January 9th, which was mere days ago, so that was very sad. But Rebecca Hall, of course, is having a moment right now because she wrote Passing, which is available on Netflix, which I was quite taken with. And then you told me you just watched it.
I just watched it this weekend, and I also loved it. I thought it was exquisitely filmed. You told me that she also adapted the screenplay from Nella Larsen's novella Passing, which you and I also love and have talked about for, the history of our friendship. I thought the movie was so good. It's a very crisp, 98 minutes or something. Tessa Thompson is great. Ruth Negga and Andre Holland. I mean, Ruth Negga is a full-blown movie star. I mean, I haven't seen somebody pop off the screen that way in such a long time. Her performance is exquisite. And also the movie is cinematic. It's filmed in black and white. It's very lush. There's a definite style to it that I really loved. And I actually really have come to love Rebecca Hall and heard this great interview on Fresh Air with her that I think you should all go. We'll put it in the show notes. Please go listen. She is so smart and so thoughtful and talks about sort of her relationship with her mother and also finding out about her grandfather who passed and how her mother, who, rest in peace, Maria Ewing, told her that passing was a really great gift that she gave both to her and to her grandfather's legacy because it was something he wasn't able to speak about. So I agree with you wholeheartedly. I thought the movie was exquisite. Please go watch it.
I thought that Tessa Thompson was great, and I thought that Ruth Negga was great, and I just went on this deep dive, and I was disappointed that more people weren't talking about them being nominated for Oscars and all of that stupid shit. And then Nicole Kidman mere days ago just won a Golden Globe for Being the Ricardos, which is a terrible movie and a terrible performance. And I love Nicole Kidman, but it is not her best work. And it's just the whole industry is so stupid and says just a dumb thing.
The Golden Globes continue to be embarrassing even without being televised. And I really hope that they turn the SAG Awards, which is an award show that I do love and think is important because it's actors giving fellow actors awards, give them the Golden Globes treatment. Maybe just put a few Percocet on the table and let the booze flow. And our good friend JoBeth Williams, who produced the SAG broadcast, should come back and get that horse back on the road. Get that horse. Oh, I don't know why horses are
horse back in the race.
Yeah, get that horse back in the race. My idioms are off. I too, like you, used to love award shows, but now am pretty much over them. But if they turn the SAG Awards into the Golden Globes, I'm back in.
JBW.
We love you, JBW. Ooh, I feel high as a kite. We are going to power through because I think Ronnie is going to be sleeping on my shoe momentarily. But I can't tell you, I feel high on life having revisited this week's episode for the edit. It was even better than I remembered. It was transformative. I feel like what we do on this show is try to get a candid look at an actress's life and career, get a little bit of behind the scenes gossip, and also get them to loosen up and talk about the trials and travails of their career. We got that in spades from Anna Maria Horsford. She completely captured our hearts. Her acting talent combined with her personality makes this one of my favorite interviews of the last calendar year.
You might know her from Friday,
Pose,
The Wayans Brothers,
The Bold and the Beautiful,
Hacks,
Minority Report,
How High,
St. Elmo's Fire,
The Fan,
The Last O.G,
and Amen.
Look, our guest has really bared with us today as we are struggling on the tech front. So thank you so much to the national treasure that is actress Anna Maria Horsford. Anna Maria, welcome to the show.
I am so glad to be here. I'm so glad to be alive and understand Zoom and Zencaster and all these other things I didn't know before 10 minutes ago. Okay.
It's too much. It's too much. So thank you again for going on this journey with us. So this year, you've had a great year. You appeared as Billy Porter's mom on the final season of Pose, as Lil Rel's mom in Vacation Friends, and as a fellow stand-up comic opposite Jean Smart in Hacks.
Yes.
Yeah, you've been working professionally for over 50 years, but when we were doing our research, we were so excited to learn that you got your first professional gig with Joe Papp in a production of Coriolanus in New York. So based on the research that we've done, it seems like you maybe haven't been back on the New York stage since the 1995 production at the Public Dancing on Moonlight with Adina Porter and Andre DeShio.
Oh, God, you know everything about me. You're psychic. Because I forgot half of that. Yes.
It was 1995, and we are so desperate to see you back on stage. Is there any chance of you returning to your hometown of New York to do theater?
No. Let me tell you. Theater is for the youth because I'll tell you, I did a traveling play with Ed Weinberger a few years back, and I realized how much theater takes. Theater takes your soul and it exercises that muscle, and you deal with these people. It's a whole nother reality, but they own you. They own you 24/7 because when you're not on stage, you're thinking about the lines, you're thinking about the movement, you're thinking about the mistakes you made the day before. It's all consuming.
So from our research, you got this job with Joe Papp in the Harlem Shakespeare Festival right out of high school. Then you went to college for a year in Puerto Rico before moving to Sweden because you wanted to meet Ingmar Bergman.
Yeah, that's logical, isn't it? Isn't that logical? Come on, why not? Okay.
Did you ever? The question is, did you ever meet Ingmar Bergman when you were in Stockholm?
No, because I didn't go to the island. I'll tell you something. 20 years after that dream and that fantasy and that reality, I was sitting across the table in Vancouver with Lee Grant. She was doing a movie that she casted me in with Marlo Thomas. And across from the lunch table was Sven Nykvist, who was his #1 DP, who had worked with him on all of his movies. And the light bulb went off as I was picking up my fork, and I said, "You are part of my fantasy." And he said, "What?" I said, "When I was a young girl, all I wanted to do was come to Sweden to work with you and Ingmar." And he said, "Really? Did you come to the island?" I said, "I didn't know about an island. I just knew somewhere in Stockholm you all were doing a movie." And he said, "Oh my gosh, we would have loved to meet you." He said, "Ingmar's gone now." I said, "But look, God didn't forget my wish. And here you are sitting in front of me and you are lighting me." And that was a dream, because he said he always wanted to go back to Africa. I said, "Well, you wouldn't have found me in Africa. You would have found me in New York." But I just realized he was part of this larger scheme. So I ended up working with one of them.
That's very cool.
Yeah, his DP. Yeah.
Again, after Stockholm, you seemed to return to the States and worked for Channel 13 as a PA on the PBS variety series Soul, which featured this incredible group of guests like Stevie Wonder, Patti LaBelle, Nikki Giovanni, Miriam Makeba, Gladys Knight, Muhammad Ali. This show is such like this insane, beautiful time capsule of black and brown artists in like 1970s New York.
Yes.
How did working behind the camera on Soul prepare you for like a future life in front of it?
Well, I tell you, the interesting part is when I got back from Sweden after a year, I remember going into Alexander's department store right across from Bloomingdale's, and I saw all these black people, and I was in a state of shock because I hadn't seen black people in a year. And there were like hundreds of them. And I said, "Oh my God, there's so many of them here." Because you forget, your eyes are looking out, they're not looking in. You forget that you're one of them too. But I was so into the Anna Maria Horsford Stockholm girl who didn't do a part in the topless ballet in Stockholm, because somehow I thought my mother was going to find out. And I kept saying, "My titties are too big to be in the topless ballet." And Godfrey Holder's brother, Bosco Holder, was the director of the topless ballet. And he says, "Oh, you just need ice cubes." And I said, "I don't think ice cubes will rise. I don't think so." So I came back really full of my Swedish self. And I said, "Wow, I got this job." It was an office temp job. And they said, "You have to go to this place." And I knew what Channel 13 was. And I said, "Okay." I got there and they said, "This is a show run by black people." I said, "Oh, okay." No one was in the office. Nobody came in the office. So I'm answering the phones. And the first person that called up was Muhammad Ali. And he said, "Hi." So I said, "Hello." And he said, "I'm looking for Terry." I said, "I don't think Terry works here anymore." Because I heard a rumor that Terry told everybody to kiss her behind in Mason's window. So I didn't want to repeat that story. I said, "But she's not here." I said, "Would you like me to take a message?" He said, "No." "How do you look?" "You want to meet me?" I said, "No, it's okay. It's okay." I said, "Let me get out of this crazy thing." So I'm sitting there almost 8 hours one day. Nobody comes. I said, "I'll go back since nobody's bothering me." And that's when I got introduced to a life I never knew existed. Because at the time, there was only 2 black shows on all of network TV. It was called, I think, Black Journal and Soul. And that's when I met Ellis Hazlett, who is a man who changed my life. And that's what introduced me to this other world. And I said, well, I just got back from Stockholm, and nobody was interested in that. But I did wear very short skirts, so that helped me adjust to this department. And then what we were doing, because we were the only 2 shows on, and this was the only variety show, we were the only people that had Black people on TV. And that wasn't that long ago. I mean, it's in my lifetime, so it was kind of long. But they all came through, and they were all quite happy. The only entertainers we couldn't get were the Motown people, because Barry didn't want his acts to be just associated with Black. Everybody else said, fine, because to get a TV audience is a big deal. It's still, it's still a big deal. So I saw everybody, from the poets to the musicians, some people I didn't know. We had Arsenio Hall on as a magician when he was 12 or 13 years old.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I know. Everybody, Nick Ashford, Valerie Simpson, Stevie Wonder. I mean, you think about all these people that never had a TV audience until we knocked on the door.
Yeah.
And so it was glorious in one aspect, because we were the pinnacle without knowing we were the ones. So people were dying to get on. It was the documentation of a culture that very few people knew about unless you were living. And we had a very, very big audience. This came after the riots, because they said we have to do something to keep these people contained. And Kit Lucas developed and got a grant, and we were on, I think, 4 years or 5 years. Yeah. And it's on Amazon Prime, the episodes.
It's incredible. There's so many beautiful performances. And also there's footage of you like reading a poem on stage. So when did you transition to like getting in front of the camera? How did that work?
I was an actress the first week I was there. Somebody said, didn't you say you were an actress? I said, yes. I said, you just came back from Stockholm. And so, well, would you like to do this poem? I said, oh, of course. So this was at the height of the revolution. Everybody had their naturals and dashikis. I went to Bloomingdale's and got a dress that was cut down to my navel. And my mother said, when she looked, she kept saying, your father said, don't breathe, because the tits were ready to bounce out. But that was my revolution, okay? That was my revolutionary act. And it was wonderful. And reading a poem didn't seem like a difficult thing to do. And I took it as far as I can go. And people still remember that when it showed. That's when I said, I ran into somebody in a department store, and they said, weren't you on TV? I said, that was years ago. He said, I remember the poem. And I said, TV is powerful.
Yeah.
Powerful. We had Stokely Carmichael. We had Mrs. Georgia Jackson. She was the one that lost her 2 sons in the courtroom. One went and shot the judge to free his brother. And we had her on. Ella said, let's talk to the mother. Nobody stopped him. That was amazing. When you have courage and you say what you want. And he documented a history that was incredible.
Yeah, please go find it. It really is this like stunning piece
Amazon
that documents Prime. Amazon Prime, baby.
Yes.
So you talked about getting recognized in a department store. One of your most recognizable and beloved credits is as Ice Cube's mom in Friday and Friday After Next.
Yes.
And, Friday is really a generational classic at this point.
Yes.
So when it came out in 1995, you had already starred in a sitcom. You already had years of film and TV work under your belt. But could you feel the impact of Friday on your life and career, since it was such a, quotable cultural phenomenon?
Did I feel it? Yes, because usually if somebody recognizes me from Friday, I get an upgrade when I'm in the airlines. So I get those benefits. I get either free food in the food courts. What I realized, and I didn't know at the time, is that it spoke to, I guess, a large class of people, mothers and the kids, that we had a background. Because you have to remember, before that movie, rappers, especially, and young black kids, really did not have parents. They did not have a life. So Friday opened up the door that, wait a minute, you have a mother and a father Neither one of them are on drugs. They have jobs. I mean, all of a sudden, it painted a portrait, a very realistic portrait of a group of people that we knew existed, but did not. What happened, I remember Smokey, he said, my mother and my sister, and again, Amen set another kind of thing, because that was the black family on Sunday, okay, that we went to church on Sunday. I did not know the impact that show was going to have on generations, because people have come up to me and said, I remember watching you with my mother or my grandmother. I am the oldest person in history. I can't really tell. No, I have 4 generations of people that know me, which is amazing, amazing. And the stories you get, that you realize it's not about you, it's about how you made them feel. Mm-hmm. One guy on a plane told me that, he says, I just have to say, I don't want to bother you, but I have to tell you that you made me think of my father, because the father had diabetes and he kept getting, different parts of the body amputated. He said, but the one day of the week that he had no pain was on Saturday, when I would go to the hospital and we would watch you together. And he said, I have never seen him so happy in my life. What can you do about that? And I said, he's here. He's here. Because you have no control of how people feel about you. And I just keep thinking, what a nice thing it is that my calling card is a smile on people's face.
Yeah.
If they hear your voice or they kind of recognize you, and they smile automatically. And I said, wow, that's a nice calling card, So I make people smile, They're glad that, I guess, I am open to their joy, because it makes me joyful, and I give that power to somebody else, but thank you for smiling and feeling that good about yourself, looking at me, Yeah. Women have said, if you can get a man, I know I can. I said, oh, okay, thanks.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Amen, because you were basically the oldest living virgin in Philadelphia, Thelma Fry, and this was the Shelman Helmsley sitcom that ran from 1986 to 1991. So you tell the story about going up for that audition, that the head of casting at NBC didn't want you for the role because you didn't have enough sitcom experience, but that the creator, Ed Weinberger, who we've mentioned before, who created Taxi and The Cosby Show, brought you in for an unauthorized audition that ultimately landed you the role. So what did you do in that audition that got you Thelma Fry?
Well, I think the interview got me. I'd seen him 3 or 4 months before, because I had just come back from Vancouver working in a mental institution. And I told him, I said, listen, I couldn't find a funny monologue. And he said, well, you don't have to do a monologue. I said, no, I found one, but I'm just saying how difficult it was, because I just came back from my job. I'm always bragging about my last job, not knowing how to beg for a new job. And he said, oh, okay. I said, I just, I found one. I'll do it for you. He said, well, what did you think of the script? I said, you're really touching on some sacred ground. I said, black people own Jesus. Okay? I said, so if you get it right, you're okay. If you get it wrong, there'll be a hanging party for you outside. I said, black people, especially black Americans, but it's real wide, have a personal relationship with this particular being. And so you have to be careful how you maneuver it. And he listened. And he says, what do you mean if I get it wrong? I said, no. I said, even if we don't go to church as adults, we still have this relationship. So you have to buy into our fantasy of what Jesus means to us. And we talked for 2 hours. It was supposed to be a 10-minute audition. It turned into 2 hours. So when I came out the room, everybody said, God, dog, what was going on in there? Because they had to wait. And I said, nothing. I told him to give you all a job. Leave me alone. Didn't hear from them for almost 3 months. He was developing the script because Johnny Carson owned the show. And in order for him to become president of Johnny Carson Productions, he said, you have to do the script that I'm thinking about. And that's how we got it. So when I went in and they flew me to LA, I came with my costume. And I had my slippers, I had my rollers, and I had these slippers with the big bear heads on them. And I said, this is how a single girl lives with her father. And they offered me a box of tissues because it was somebody who auditioned before us. And I said, what is that for? They said, in case you cry. I said, cry about what? I said, listen, if these men didn't want me, there's something wrong with them, not me. And they said, oh, okay. I said, yeah, no, darling. I said, you know how nasty men can be. They probably want something I can't give them. And they said, oh, okay. And that's how it came about, the oldest living virgin. Because I knew, that there was nothing wrong. If I had a man who loved me, like my father, I'm perfect. Many women don't have that. So Thelma had that. And that's the strength that Thelma went with, and that Thelma was a spoiled little brat in a strange way, because somebody said, well, you can't cook. And I said, who said I can't cook? No matter how bad the food tasted, nobody ever said, Thelma, this is not good. So she was kind of a bully and kind of scary, because she would go off. Probably they would call her bipolar in this day and age. But she knew who she was. And that's what got the part. And there were scenes that I told him, you have to be accurate because our culture is slightly different. Like the one script, they had a food fight. I said, no. You can't. Black people don't play with food. We eat food. Okay? Then he wanted us to stand on the couch. I said, we can't stand on the couch. We have plastic covers on a couch. Okay? My mother spent $10 a week paying for that plastic cover on the couch. You cannot stand on furniture in a black home. You just can't do it. And so he listened. And that was a good thing when a person listens to you, because I think part of it is we're selling a culture. We're selling a show that you've never seen these people before. You've seen rich ones, but you've never seen really middle class, working class people and how we live. And I think we have a responsibility to inform sometimes people who think they know you. Say, no, we do it a little different. One scene, I said, you have to write me out of that. I cannot talk about sex in front of a parent. And he said, why? I said, no. He said, well, you're 40 years old. I said, I don't care if you're 60, you can't do that. No, you can't. And they said, oh. And one writer said, you're the first actress I know that ever asked to be written out of something. I said, because it doesn't work. I don't know how to react to that.
That's fascinating.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was what brought Amen on. I think taking the chance of being as special as you can be. You know what I mean? Without embarrassing yourself, because she was special.
Anna Maria, you've mentioned that Sherman Hemsley was an actor's actor, but also a true introvert with few social skills. How did your relation...
He might have had him. He didn't show him to us, but go on. Yes. What did you...
How did your relationship with him evolve over that 5 years? Did it change as you got to work with him so closely for all that time?
Sherman was very sweet and kind. He just was not. Now, again, we try to find reasons why people are the way they are. He says his grandmother was a minister, a Pentecostal minister. That kind of tells you a little about a little boy that was raised and had to go to church 7 days a week. So if you understand that, you don't necessarily push yourself. Every 2-3 weeks, Sherman would bring in gifts for us.
That's sweet.
So it was never I didn't feel any hostility. If I said, can we rehearse this? He was fine. It was just, he was not George Jefferson, I want to say.
Right.
You know what I mean? You asked a question, you got an answer, and maybe that's just who he was. He adored Barbara Montgomery. She was one of the Hedderbrink sisters. Mm-hmm. I don't know if she reminded him of somebody, but he kept bringing her. He bought her a dog. Okay. 1 week. She didn't want one, but
I was about to say.
And then he bought her a fish tank. I said, well, I only got a little lamp this week, So those are questions only he would know, you know?
Right.
I just don't think he was interested in being everybody's best friend.
Right. And at that point, he had, already done a full run of a sitcom and maybe was in a different place.
Yeah. And lost a lot of money and was coming back because I heard, we hear a lot of things after that Ed had to fight to get him on the show. NBC didn't want it. Yeah. There was a lot of drama on the Jeffersons.
I see. Okay.
Okay. We say no more. A few shows had to be canceled because he couldn't perform.
Understood.
Okay, you're getting a little dirt now.
I like it. I like the tea. I like the tea.
Wait now, what? I don't know. I wasn't there. Okay. Next. Yes.
So flashing forward from 2015 to 2018, you're portrayed and were twice Emmy nominated for your role as Vivian Avant on The Bold and the Beautiful.
Yes.
You played the matriarch of the Avant family and have said that it was the first intact black nuclear family on a daytime soap. And your TV daughter, Maya, is also trans, and the character became the first trans woman to get married in daytime.
Right.
Did the cultural significance of these plot lines influence your decision to sign up for like a classic soap?
Well, that was an offer. Let me say, I was going to the airport and my manager said, "Are you sitting down?" I said, "Yes, I'm driving." And he said, "An offer for a soap opera." I said, "You're kidding." He said, "No, I was a little surprised too." And I said, "Oh," because I hadn't seen a soap opera in years. I was on The Guiding Light maybe 25 or 30 years before that. But this was new. And I said, "Who am I?" And he gave me the description. And I said, "Oh, okay." And he said, "It's you have 16 shows." I said, "Well, that's a nice little job." I said, "It better start when I come back because I'm not going to cancel my flight." He says, "No, you have like a week." I said, "Oh, okay, I'll be back then." And you take the part because a lot of times I don't know if they know where it's going. Because Maya, the girl who played Maya, didn't know that she was trans until a few weeks before. You know what I mean? She just had her second baby. And that was a bombshell because I have to say, Brad Bell picked some very interesting topics. And for soap opera to deal with a trans person was really this was before Pose, I believe. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it was really whoa. And I tell you, that part did so much for me understanding who I was, who my parents were, that I never thought possible. It was supposed to be 16 episodes. It turned out to be 3 years because the audience responded so powerfully. I mean, really, one guy said that it helped him. And people write, I mean, because they become friends. The soap opera has another kind of audience.
Yeah.
You are part of their lives because they look at you every day. Emotionally, you take them on roller coasters. And many people, but one guy particularly said, "You helped me accept my son, my gay son." Mm. And it wasn't, it wasn't the trend, but people don't know because the world is moving and it's evolving. We don't know this, we don't know that. And I remember there was an episode where one of the producers wanted me to cuss the husband out. And I said, no, I plan to stay with him unless we're going to write in I'm a divorce. But I can't embarrass him in front of all these people. I will deal with him outside, but I can't do that to my daughter and this group of people. And he said, "Oh, okay." And I think trying to stay true to these characters that live inside of us because they really are. They become a part of you. But I understood acceptance when I said the easiest way to become a hero is to have a child. Because children are so forgiving. Even if the mother was an alcoholic, a drug addict, that beat you up, the this and that. There's something in that contract that this woman and this baby have that is everlasting. And when Maya and we had the scenes, and I said, "I have to apologize for being a terrible mother, but I love you so much. And I don't want to lose that because that's the person that loves you beyond anything you can do. You don't have to earn it. You just have to be it. And that's what that taught me. I don't know who I was in my last life. I don't even know if I believe in reincarnation, but I must have been a bitch because I got a lot of forgiving to do. A lot of trouble. Yeah, but that was why, I mean, that part means so much. And I swear to you, people, there's not a week that goes by that somebody says, are you coming back on the soap or are you coming back on the soap? I said, my child is fine now. You know, she has a baby. Leave me alone. But it means something to them in terms of evolving your spirit. Mm-hmm. And so I'm happy I did that part. I really am so happy. Outside of the nominations, I'm just happy that I got that.
You're a total pro. What was it like? Like, how grueling was the soap schedule? Like, how many pages do you shoot in a day nowadays?
The soap is interesting because, let me just say, you better rehearse at home. You have a 5-minute rehearsal period, and then you shoot. Okay, the hours are not as bad. Sometimes they do scenes from 3 shows, but it's just connecting the pieces. It's not grueling. It's connecting the pieces, because again, you don't act for awards. You act because it helps you breathe. Making all these people and how it affects this one or that one or South America or Brazil or Italy, that's not our business. You do it because you love not being yourself. You love being all these different people, you know.
I have to say, like, hearing you say that, you know, it helps you breathe. We binged so much of your work that we weren't familiar with over the last week or so. And I was so impressed with what your craft was, because I feel like I grew up knowing you, like, mostly as a comedian, but getting to see you do dramatic work, I was just so blown away. Do you feel like you have always had that craft that allows you to tap into material the way that you were saying, oh no, Thelma would never do that, or this wouldn't be right for this character, so you shouldn't write that for me? Like, have you always possessed that?
I think I always loved looking at people, and the deal is that when you do a character breakdown, every human being has a sense of humor. Now, it's different. You know, you go into the prisons, a lot of those men had sense of humors, not necessarily when they raped or killed the person that they did, but again, we all came from the same place. We all came after 9 months, some people maybe test tubes, but we all came from the same place. What impacted your life that maybe you got to this moment? Okay? But I think I've always looked at people. My mother was one, I used to call her Sister Teresa's first cousin, because she would see the good in everybody. And you kind of say, no. And she said, well, you know, so-and-so, he said he didn't do. I said, okay. But what you realize that you can perceive every human being with all of these different emotions and things. So Amen was my first comedy. But even in the other stuff I did before, I think you try to show a moment, even if it's not written in the script, you can show a person's sense of humor or their sensitivity. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you beat out your scripts? Like, is it that methodical for you, or is it more like you go with your gut?
I beat it down.
Okay.
You know, everybody has a rhythm, everybody has a time. Some are more difficult to get to than others, you know.
Anne's trying to get actor secrets.
You probably are so good you can't believe yourself. You can't believe yourself. Yeah.
No, I was very taken with you. Look, you know, sometimes the material you're given is amazing, and sometimes the material you're given is okay. And like watching you do amazing work with, you know, so material, that is like what I think when you can really see the heart of an actor. And I feel like getting to see you do incredible work on Grey's Anatomy opposite Ellen Pompeo, and I was like, you are so good in this fucking scene. You're so good in this scene.
Thank you. Now that's a special moment, because I auditioned the one scene they gave me, and by the time I got home, because it's right around the corner, ABC,
okay,
my manager called and said, you got the part, go back, they have to do wardrobe, and you start tomorrow. So I said, oh shucks, that means I got to learn these 4 pages tonight. I never read the entire script. Let me just say that.
Okay.
In between doing what you're doing for the day, my father ends up dying. I go to New York. You know, it took 3 days because he didn't believe in suffering. 3 days. I fly back, and then I said, oh, I didn't know I had a death scene. It was, let me tell you, God is so good, because I said, wait a minute, I die? I said, God, dog, I never read the script. I said, you got to read the whole scripts. Sometimes. This is my first time. I was able, when I was on that gurney, I said, oh, let me see what Daddy felt like. And it was so interesting, because there I was able to release him, because the stillness that came from that, I had no idea that was going to happen. And I said, oh, okay. And it was so peaceful. And I said, all right. So I'm glad you felt something from that, because I had no idea I was doing that. So sometimes you don't, you get as much as you can handle. But that was the grace, because I said, oh, Daddy, this is it. And it was like, shh. So thank you for mentioning Grey's Anatomy.
Your performance is stunning. It really is. Like, I could have watched an entire spin-off with your character had they not killed you off. Anyway, we'll get to that. But moving on.
Remember? I came back.
Oh, baby, do I remember that you came back as a ghost? Look, we were going to get to it later, but let's get into it right now. Okay. You do this thing that we're obsessed with on Grey's Anatomy. You play a ghost. You die in that one incredible episode. Then you come back 2 seasons later as a ghost to help Meredith, like, come back from the brink after she's, like, drowning or something. So you're there with these other ghosts. So what did you do when you got that call to return to Grey's Anatomy as a ghost? And was that a weird ass day on set?
Yes, I called, not the set, I called my manager. I said, I think they have to, maybe somebody forgot. I died. He said, well, yeah, they called. I said, yeah, but just remind them in case, but sometimes you can forget. I said, but tell them I died. and the guy said, oh, no, it's okay. We know. And I said, oh, okay. Because, you don't get the script till right before. And I said, oh, okay. So not that Chandra didn't know, but I just didn't know how she was. And then one of the producers said, oh, she loves you. I said, well, thank you for bringing me here today. We had a good time. Yeah. The imagination that, I guess it goes back to, nothing ever dies. You remember. I love
that.
That's all I can say, but I was happy for the part.
Yes, I'm telling you that your episode leaves a great impression. You're so good in it.
Thank you.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of your TV work, but, for our audience, you've been in tons of high-profile movies. You've worked with these huge directors like Mike Nichols in Heartburn, Steven Spielberg in Minority Report, F. Gary Gray in Friday, of course, but also Set It Off, Joel Schumacher in St. Elmo's Fire, and Alan Pakula in Presumed Innocent. Of that list, and if you have any others to add to it, like, which of these folks felt like an actor's director, and which of them left something to be desired?
Louis Malle, you didn't call.
Oh, my God. Louis Malle, okay.
Who was married to Candice Bergen at the time.
Yes, okay.
Before she passed. And Louis brought us all out to San Francisco, and he says, I always start a movie by inviting the actors to my house.
Elegant.
And hello. And he served dinner. We had a big party. And Candice was the wife serving me at the time. And she said, do you want anything? And I said, wow, I have Candice Bergen waiting on me. And I was there telling Donald Sutherland and Louis Malle and the other gentlemen about my days in Stockholm, not joining the topless ballet. So I was in heaven. He made you feel, and Lee Grant is also one of those that makes you feel part of a whole. There's no, this one is a star, you're not. You have 5 lines, this one. That is the thing that makes you understand that you are important, even if you don't. Because actors are always going around battering themselves on the head. Oh, I got one line. And I said, it's not one line. I learned that early. It's what you do with the one line. It's your being. Because you can have one scene in a movie that everybody walks away talking about. You can have one line. The one line in Friday that everybody quotes is, "Hey, call me." Yeah. Okay. That was the first day of the shoot. Okay. And I'm saying,
Yeah,
what is that? What was that made it? You can't monitor it. What's his name from Presumed Innocent? Alan Pakula. Yes.
Pakula, yeah.
Pakula, who died tragically shortly after in a car accident on the Hudson Highway. Was terrible. He got beheaded. It was just so incredible that because it was just a few of us on the set. And he said, "So, tell me about you." And I said, "Whoa." And he said, "You should read this article about these, what was it? They were an African tribe somewhere. Oh, the Black Russians." He said, "You should think about developing that." And I said, "Huh?" I said, "I met a lady." I mean, it was... And then Harrison called me over to talk. Merrill was wonderful when we did Mike Nichols, I love before. Juliet Taylor called me down to meet him. She said, "Not audition, just come and meet him." And so I came to the little trailer. We got in the bus, and then we start talking about Page 6. You know Page 6? The Post used to have Page 6.
Yeah, of course. No, it's still there.
Still do. Yeah. And so we were going through the articles of Page 6 and say, "And now who do you think this is?" They didn't mention names. I said, "No, I got something else," and this and that. So we had the best afternoon in the world. Then he was telling Juliet that he says, "I need an anesthesiologist, but if I get just an extra, are they going to look silly?" And I said, "Oh, I know an anesthesiologist who's an actor." He said, "Really?" He said, "Give her the name." And he got the job. Okay? So that's
hooking people up.
I felt powerful. The guy never gave me a gift, but it's okay. It's okay. I forgive, Never made it. But anyway, when a director makes you feel that you are just as important as everybody else in the movie, that's a delight.
Yeah.
Now, one guy, and I'm not going to call his name.
Okay. But was he on the list?
No, but it was a great part I did. He was unfortunately going through a slight divorce at the time, so I had to counsel him in between my scenes. So,
oh no,
that was fabulous. What do you mean? No,
you liked that?
A little light counseling. Because I would ask him. I said, "So, how do you see this scene? My scene coming up?" He said, "I don't know. What do you see?" I said, "Well, you know what? If I come across that wall," and I said, "You know what? Let me show you. And he said, "Okay." Did it? He said, "Let's shoot it. And I said, "Oh, good." I said, "Listen, don't worry about her. She'll come back." And a girlfriend of mine said, "I have never seen anybody do that in my life." I said, "Get your character together. Okay, get your character together, and then you can implant anything." It was fabulous. That was a great scene, because even the tech people, they thought it was real because I was fighting somebody. And he said, "Cut." Fine. He said, "Oh, okay." So I made him look good too.
Okay, you're going to tell us after we cut who that is.
Okay, Anna Maria, you played Dee Baxter on 4 seasons of the WB sitcom The Wayans Brothers.
Yes.
Of course, Dee was the beloved security guard and also the brother's best friend. She had Busta Rhymes perform at her fledgling church. She dated scammers. She dated prudish dentists. Her sister dated Marlon. She maybe had a thing for Sean, but she wanted him to be her baby's dad at one point. At this point, you were already sitcom royalty coming from Amen, which was...
Yes.
What was it like going from NBC to this newer network like the WB? Like, did they treat you well?
With these young boys, okay?
Yeah.
It was a mess. Because I talked so bad about that show, and I said, "God forgive me. God forgive me." I thought I had one show. He said, "Now, tomorrow when you go on the set, you have to sign the contract." I said, "Okay." And he said, "You know this is for a series." I said, "No, you lying." He said, no, because I hadn't worked in almost 2 years. I said, you're kidding. He said, no. I said, oh, okay. So I hung up the phone. I said, God, forgive me. I didn't mean to talk bad about that show, because I knew one of the writers on the show. And I said, da, 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 da. And I went, and it was heaven, because all of a sudden they had a new producer, new writers, and it changed. And
Yeah.
I remember...
You were sort of brought in as they revamped the second season, right?
Exactly. Because the little girl who was playing the police, a young Italian girl, she said it was too much for her. She couldn't take it. Whatever that meant. I have no idea. The poor girl. I haven't seen her since. We never saw her. I don't know what they did to her. Or maybe it was too many black people. I did with, wait a minute, with, what's her name, who has more awards than anybody else. Oh, God. Fatal Attraction.
Oh, Glenn Close.
Glenn Close. Do you remember the season that Glenn was on The Shield?
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
Right. We did a location one night in South Central, and I know poor Glenn's eyes went, I said, too many black people. We were
Oh, no, Glenn.
Location. And Glenn said, oh, you do a lot of location work? I said, yeah, it's fine. The reality was a little much. She didn't.
Poor Glenn.
Glenn did not come back to that. Okay. Glenn said no, because they were in the little bodega at the time buying 2 cigarettes and this, and we were on the side. The PA said, "No, you all stand here. Let the customers come in." And so just
Glenn took herself back to Connecticut.
I think so.
Oh no.
Okay. So sometimes location shooting can be a little much. Okay, so that poor little girl went off, but they were interesting because that's a pack unto itself. The Wayans brothers, they really are, but they love each other so much, and they came with so much respect for me. And I kept saying, I wonder, was it my scenes in Friday? I'm not sure, because you don't know why you go. It almost, you turn around and say, oh, it's a setup that you don't even know. Like you say, oh. A lot of it's not choices. It's that I go with sometimes what's there, and you get the prize after. You know, I wish I could say I was that smart that I picked Friday. I had to audition for Friday. You know what I mean? I was at the top. I was in the top 10 shows of the week, and they called me down to audition because who they wanted was out of town. And I said, oh. And one guy said, I'm shocked that you came down to audition. I said, why? I said, if I could make this one's movie better, I could make this guy's movie better. You know, if I got the part, and I got it, and who knew it was going to be what it became 25 years after? You know, nobody knows. But with all the directors, most of them are smart enough to say, I want. There was one that everybody was scared of, and you couldn't speak on the set. Oh, he was a screamer. And I said, oh, I've never been on a set this quiet, because I only came in for like 2 days. And they said, no, the director. And I said, oh, okay. And I came, I did my scene. He was nice, and we had lunch. Nobody would sit with him, so he came and sat next to me. I said, I guess I'm his good friend. Right. And he was sweet as can be to me. I don't know what that is. I'll tell you who he was too.
Okay, after the fact. Okay.
Well, no, he was fine. That was William Friedkin.
Oh, he's a screamer.
He was a screamer.
Okay, well, yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
Anna Maria, we have reached the part of the show that we call the rapid fire. It's rapid for us.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be rapid for you. Take as much time as you need. If you want to be rapid, be rapid. Okay. You've said that despite appearing in stoner classics like the Friday movies, How High as Redman's mom, and the Fox sitcom Method and Red as Method Man's mom, that you've never smoked or had a drink in your life. But if you had to get high with one of these rappers, who would you choose? Ice Cube, Method Man, or Redman?
Probably Redman.
Yes, we're a Redman house. Okay.
I went to his house to rehearse one of the scenes, And I knew time was going, and I know he wanted to smoke. You know, it was going on like 2 hours. I said, okay. I said, I'm going to leave in a few minutes, but if you want to, you can light up. He said, oh, thank you. I said, okay. I just knew the time was up.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
yeah. Okay. Is that who you picked?
We love Redman.
We love
We were just
Redman,
talking about it earlier.
Okay, yeah. Really, again, I get so much grace because they remember me, or their mothers liked me and their grandmothers liked me. So I got so much love coming to me. I just saw Method. He's starring in Power.
Yeah.
And the Last O.G. I did in New York a few months ago, and our dressing rooms were next to each other. And I said, that's my baby. That's my baby. Oh, my God. See, that's how God made me old, so I wouldn't have to sleep with all of them. They because if I were little, yeah.
Yeah, you've been all over it.
Wonderful resume. Go on. Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay. You have a pregnant belly in Minority Report. Did Tom Cruise rub your belly, or was he very buttoned up on set?
Oh, no. I went into the wardrobe room and said, oh, somebody's going to be pregnant in the movie? And the costumer said, yes, you. And I said, oh, you mean in the future old women can have babies? And she said, I guess so. She said, Stephen loves pregnant women.
Oh, weird. Okay.
No, that's beautiful. Beautiful.
It's an interesting trope. Now I'm thinking back through all his movies.
Oh, okay. So when I was on the set and had the costume on, Steve Williams kept, every time I passed, he said, would you like to sit down? And I said, no, I'm fine. And I didn't realize it was the belly. So finally, I said, Steve, I said, because it dawned on me, because he was so polite, which is not wrong for him to be polite.
Yeah.
I said, you wanna touch the baby? And I took his hand and I punched my stomach. And I told Steven, I said, Steve, I said, I was so surprised that you would have a working woman, a full pregnancy. And then the scene opened up with the women were giving me a baby shower in the office. And I said, how thoughtful. You know what I mean? And then the first AD had him bring me to Washington for that scene outside of the Pentagon or something. And he said, we just need somebody. And I said, come on. His secretary would definitely be there. And I said, well, thank you for that. So I'm telling you, life is good. But Stephen he thinks the idea of a woman being pregnant is quite beautiful.
Okay. You appeared in St. Elmo's Fire and have a few scenes with Andrew McCarthy. This movie was an 80s phenomenon and directed by gay legend Joel Schumacher. So be honest, did you have a backstory for this character you played, a prostitute who asks Andrew McCarthy if he's gay, or did you just sort of shoot from the hip?
Well, I remember meeting Joel Schumacher for the first time. I went in for a meeting and I had this fabulous top on, and he said, oh, I love your top. Where did you get it? And I said, I went to Martinique one day to shop. And he said, the island? I said, yes. And he said, well, you got the part. Anybody who goes to Martinique for a day to shop. I said, well, I was in Antigua and I went over the day and I bought it and I thought it was kind of cute. And I got the part.
I love that.
Hello. And he loved the one thing that he said that he thought was so hilarious, and I wasn't even aware of it, when Andrew offers me a drink. He has a bottle in his hand and he offers me a drink, and I wipe his germs off of the bottle and I take the thing. And he thought that was hilarious. He said, but you're the prostitute. I said, well, prostitutes don't like germs either. And he thought that was the cutest thing, because I did it unknowing. I guess I wasn't aware of it. But somebody offered you a bottle, of course you wipe the top off and then you put it up. So that was his favorite moment in St. Elmo's.
It's a great actor's moment.
Yes.
Anna Maria, what is more cutthroat? Your alma mater, the LaGuardia School of the Arts, or renegotiating a sitcom contract?
Well, it wasn't LaGuardia. It was the High School of Performing Arts then. It's now the Jackée Kennedy School. But negotiating sitcom contract. Yeah. Okay? That was Bombshell. It was a bombshell. It was so vicious that I disappeared because they didn't keep a promise they were supposed to. And I said, whoa, what happens now? And they even had the lawyer who was no longer with NBC call me to tell me that I couldn't object. And I said, oh, you don't work there anymore. She said, no, but Anna, you can't sue. And I said, listen, there's one thing on earth I'm scared of. I am scared of the Inquirer catching me without my hair being done, because they're going to say she's on drugs now. So I have to hang up on you and go to the hairdresser. Because I figured she was recording me. Okay. Anytime somebody calls to intimidate you about what you can. I mean, it's real. I didn't know it was cutthroat. I had no idea. I mean, you probably know that the deal is because they assume actors are so desperate and you want to be, and I was desperate, but I also knew I was being treated unfairly.
Right. And
I went to the hairdresser, and that's when I got my call. My lawyer called and said, I got to tell you, you got some balls. And I said, what do you mean? He says, you have balls. And I said, no, I just think I have some ethics. Who am I going to get mad at? You know, Jesse Hairston, the 94-year-old man. I can only get mad at myself for not sticking to my guns. You know what I mean? Because if you promise and you write it down and then you go back against your word, I'm saying, come on. And it wasn't fair then. Even one of my agents said at the time, it's known in Hollywood that black people get less money. I said, let me just say this. I have never been ashamed of being black. And you have to explain to me if money that I make, you can't spend in all the stores that if I were white and I made money for you. So just give me the logical reason why black people get less, you know, than everybody else, if we're making the same kind of commercial money. But there's so much to learn about this business. I mean, things are so different now. And I didn't think I was asking for a lot. Mm-hmm. This was my own race. You know what I mean? Because you're really only in a race for yourself. And I just said, no, be fair. If you say you're going to do something, stick to your word. And they did.
Good. Yeah.
After, you know, they said, what do you want? And I got what I wanted. So that was a nice little victory. But I'm not going to lie, I was scared, you know.
Of course.
They could replace. And I said, you can replace me with Marla, anybody. If we all look the same, it's okay. It's okay. And I said, but you saw some acting on Amen. Wait till you see me in the courtroom. Then, okay?
Good for you.
Good for you.
Yes.
Yeah. And I'm not a lawyer. I'm not an activist. But I'm a girl from Harlem. Okay. Go on.
I'm so glad to hear that you did fight for that, because it's bullshit. It's bullshit.
Yeah, but so much of life is. You know what I mean? And it really, again, you have to go with what you believe in terms of even just the characters we're talking about. You have to stand for that, you know, because you're the one playing it. Nobody's going to say, well, the writer made me do that. The writer made me do that, or the director. No, do what you know you can stand for 20 years from now. Because everything is on the internet, darling. Everything.
You appear in 2 episodes of the final season of Pose as Pray Tell's mother, with 2 of TV's most beloved black moms, Jackée Harry and Janet Hubert, playing your sisters.
Yes.
What kind of camaraderie did the 3 of you have on that set? And did you feel like you had a shorthand because you're all TV legends in your own right?
Well, I don't know if we think that. You all think that. We think we are working actresses and happy we got a job. Okay? Let's get clear, okay? Janet plays my best friend in the Last O.G. too. And again, you can't sing your own praises. You can sing your worth, but you can't sing your praises. I think we were just happy because all of us were on TV at the same time. Yeah. And so that's what we remember. Janet was on Fresh Prince and Jackée was 227. I was Amen. And we would see each other on a lot of the junkets. You know, then you get free trips when you're on a show. And I mean, you can go around the world. It was fabulous. And that was the good thing about it. And we were just happy we were working and trying to catch up and not ask too many personal questions. You know, I said, girl, you working? Well, I haven't worked. And you have to underplay it. No, I don't have that job. Well, how many episodes you got? I don't know. That's how we play it. Okay? Now, how you play is, oh, you icon. You're a working actress. You got a job. And all of us were very happy. We were, at this age, still remembering lines. But it was great, the synergy that we developed, that we could still be doing something that we loved. That's the most amazing part, because we all start from a little belief. I believe I can fly. And then when you see the flying, oh, okay, come on. So it's a good feeling. Jackée is on a soap opera now. Mm-hmm. And Janet is, as I said, my best friend on the Last O.G. that's coming on. And happy to see her back, you know, and try to catch up with some of the old stories we had. So we had a chance to fill in the blanks. When some of those blanks were very special. That's all I can say. That's off camera or on camera. They were good. We went out a few times, and I wanted to stay close to the hotel because I tell you, there was so many layers on Pray Tell's mother, because there was a lot that this woman tortured herself with. You know what I mean? The idea of what you knew about somebody abusing your child, and you knew, and what you did or did not do about it. And I know a lot of women like that, and usually they just say, oh, just forget about it. It was a long time ago. Nothing is forgotten. You know, I was shocked, all the different kinds of people that watch Pose. You don't know. They're like secret viewers. One guy called and said, so Anna, they hired women to act like they were men? I said, no, those were all men who wanted to become women. And he could not believe it. Okay? He did not understand the commitment of those beautiful faces that are trans. Because trans is new to us. Trans is new. We knew about transvestite, but trans is a whole nother area of life that is very new to our audience and to some of the generations before us. Did not understand it. Billy's character is interesting because a lot of those boys, and I always tell people, they said, well, I didn't tell my mother. I said, your mother knew you were gay 5 minutes after you came out the womb. Let's get clear. Mothers know. You know what I mean? They prefer you not to be because they know how cruel the world can be. But to give up a child that was in the incubator for 9 months, it's a hard thing. And to know that this unconditional love, the person that loves you most, you have to cut off from, it's devastating. So she had a lot of stuff going on at one time. You know, that don't protect, don't do this. They knew about the gay minister, the pastor. They knew all the secrets. But what we do is we try to push the secrets down. If you don't talk about them, they won't supposedly affect you. So Pose was like a monster for me in terms of doing it.
Okay, final question. You've worked with everyone under the sun, but 3 credits opposite like these cinematic legends. Bill opposite the notorious Mickey Rooney, the stone pillow opposite a deglammed Lucille Ball, and the iconic The Fan opposite Lauren Bacall.
Yes.
We're obsessed with each of these films. What is the wildest story you can tell us about one of those old Hollywood icons?
Well, Lucille, I'll tell you 2. I'll tell you 3.
Here we go.
Lucille Ball, they called me for a table read the day before. They weren't paying. So they said, Miss Ball would like to know if you could come and sit for a table read. I said, come on, of course. So we get there. We're all around the table, and director says, could everybody just introduce themselves? So, and the character you're playing. So this one, that one, I said, Anna Horsford, so-and-so. And then get to her. I said, well, we know who you are. And so everybody kind of chuckled. The next day we come in for the shoot, and her assistant said, oh, Lucy loved the way you came in and took over. I said, took over? I didn't take over. Did I take, wait, no, I just said we knew. So that was interesting. And then she said, come here. I want to talk to you. So I sit down. And she said, so who are you? And what do you do? And I said, oh. And I told, and that's the day that I start hating extras. Because it's an extra that obviously got so jealous. She stood in front of us and she kept, excuse me. And I said, oh, they should all die. I could not believe this woman. She can. And she was so incredible. And I said, because I was supposed to rough her up, I said, now listen, let me just tell you, if I get a little too, I'm not going to hit you, but push you. I said, because you know, I would be dead in 5 seconds if I hurt Lucy. The next day she walks in with her arm wrapped. I said, stop it. I did not push you. She was full of jokes. Why did you do that to me? I said, oh. And then Lauren, I was her bodyguard, and she would tell me from the first day about Humphrey Bogart. And I was saying, oh, I have that kind of face, I think. Tell anything. Because she said something about her son called, and I said, oh, something. And she said, oh, yeah. She said, you know, I had to take a trip right after he was born. So I said, oh. I said, but you just had the baby? And she said, yeah. She said, but Bogey said you were my wife before you became his mother. And I said, oh. And you had to make a choice. And she said, kind of. I said, well, how old was he? Well, you know, I ask questions. That's why people like talking to me. Because I want to know. I want to know. She was about 3 months old. I said, oh, that had to kill you. And she said, yeah. But so-and-so. And it was just, you know. So I was the voice. I mean, again, I can't tell you it was planned. I just think I am so lucky to be at the right place and said the right things. You know what I mean? I never thought that anybody was going to give me anything. I just thought I was there for a reason and just enjoy the moment. You know, Mickey Rooney, he told stories about old Hollywood. And he says when they were kids, if you messed up the lines a lot, they would put you in the box. And I said, the box? It's like a big moving box they would put the kids in.
Oh my God.
It's not funny.
It's not.
It's
not.
It's not funny, but Mickey Rooney, I mean, he's just...
Well, he's special now. And then he would tell you how to do a line reading. He would give you line readings.
Oh, no.
So the producer came over and he wanted to... But listen, I'm getting attention from Mickey Rooney. They asked me to drive him in a car. The guy says, you want to drive or would you like a stand-in to drive? And I said, now, I know I don't have a driver's license. My friend did take me out to the parking lot yesterday to teach me how to drive. But I said, now, if I kill Mickey Rooney, very famous. I said, let the stand-in do it. Let the driver do it. And he said, okay. But the producer came over and said, don't let him be a pain in the ass. Just listen. I said, no, it's fine. He can tell me how to do anything. It's okay. You know, he said he was directing the extras.
Oh, boy.
How to do it. He says, now, you're standing there, look like this, do this, and da. At the end, he had a little trouble with his memory, and I saw him at Cloris Leachman's party. And I went over to him to introduce myself. I said, oh, I was your social worker that put you away. And he said, you put me away? And I said, oh, shucks. I didn't realize, you know, people get a little older. And so the wife came over. So, yeah, we remember you. I said, oh, just say hi. And the best person I went out with one night was Christopher Reeves. We were, and Corbin Burnson. We were in Minnesota. We had done this personal appearance for the 10,000 Lake celebration. And the guy was taking us back to the hotel. And Christopher said, take us to a bar where we could have a drink and so. And he said, oh, okay. He said, a nice quiet place where we could sit and talk to each other. Who knew that drivers didn't take anybody to a small, quiet place? By the time we got to this bar and sit down, there's lines around the corner waiting for autographs from Christopher and Corbin. And I'm sitting there, and they're like, so we didn't have too long of a date. But I said, these women are not even interested in me. Suppose one of them are going with me. They didn't care, so they would come up and say, so do you really come like a speeding bullet? And oh no, honey, women are they used to be aggressive. Now, they hurt their feelings. You can't look at them. So that was a night to remember.
Oh
my double date with Corbin and Christopher. And then I went to see him in a play here at the Taper. He was the nicest man in the world. Really, really nice. He said Street Smart was his favorite movie.
You're very good in it too.
Yeah.
Morgan Freeman.
Yeah, really good. Yes. So what else did you say? So that's my what life did I live? What life did I live? I can ascend happily. Okay.
Please don't. Yeah. Please don't. Please.
But
don't.
it's been a good one, and I tell you, there's no way I could have planned for this, but I'm sure happy it happened.
Anna Maria Horsford, this has been I can't even really tell you, been a total pleasure. Thank you so much for taking a little time out to chat with us today. You have lived an incredible life and are such a talent, and we can't wait to see what's next.
Thank you, darling, and I can't wait to see this interview.
There's just too many highs to choose a part of that interview that was my favorite. I did love when she said that was the day that I decided I hated extras and they should all die. Her trying to have a conversation with Lucille Ball and being... speaking of Lucille Ball...
Yeah.
Her having a conversation with Lucy and getting interrupted by an extra who was, jealous. Very cool.
Again, yes, as you said, too many treasures to unwrap. Her saying that Glenn Close was afraid of... There were too many black people in South Central while shooting the Shield. She was like, Glenn didn't know what she got herself into. Yes, Ronette, you're okay.
Ronnie, come here.
But I have to say my all-time favorite thing that happened was sometimes I have a response in the moment, and my visceral response to her saying Steven loves pregnant woman was, ew, weird. And she's like, no, it's beautiful. And I was like, I still think it's weird, Anna Maria. I have to go back and think through how many pregnant women are in Steven Spielberg films. Actually, that's going to be my assignment for myself this week. I'm going to go movie by movie and see how many prego women populate his casts. We didn't even get into everything that Anna Maria has done. I mean, just like Street Smart, we barely scratched the surface. She has been in so many iconic things, but also she's currently doing an 8-episode arc on Be Positive, the CBS sitcom starring former guest of this show, Annalee Ashford. She is continuing to do excellent work. She elevates every single thing she's in. And, it's embarrassing to me that I like to hear... To me, acting is magic. So when you see somebody do it so well and so effortlessly, it is still the thing that brings me the most pleasure in life is watching that art take place in front of me. I'm not an actor, nor do I have any interest in acting, but Anna Maria clocking me and being like, oh, Anne, you're into these acting secrets. I was like, oh no, she thinks I'm an actor. This is so mortifying. But I really do like watching somebody work, and I'm not saying Grey's Anatomy was bad. I'm just saying the material is what it is. It's like a soapy 1 hour primetime show where people come in and come out, and she's not the main character. She's so fucking good in Grey's Anatomy. She's incredible. Please go watch the episode. It's a very early episode. I will see anything Anna Maria Horsford does moving forward. Every single thing she's in, she makes better.
Okay, folks. You know what time it is. It's time for us to connect this week's guest, Anna Maria Horsford, to next week's mystery guest. And we do that all in a sort of blind item in our own little way. So, Anne, can you connect Anna Maria to next week's guest using only women?
Why, of course I can. Let's get into it. Anna Maria Horsford was in Minority Report with Lois Smith, who was in Twister, with Helen Hunt, who was in What Women Want with Marissa Tomei, who was in the Bedroom with former guest of this show, the great, wonderful, tremendous Celia Weston, who was in Palms with the L Words, Pam Grier. She would not like that that's how we're billing her, but that's where we're going. Sorry, Pam. Pam was in Larry Crown with Julia Roberts, who was in August Osage County with Meryl Streep, who was in Don't Look Up with Jennifer Lawrence, who was in Winter's Bone with next week's guest.
Oh, I love it. I love it. A lot of high profile you might know her from.
I do apologize. We don't usually use superstars, but I was having trouble getting from Pam Grier down, and I refused to use Jackie Weaver because I just needed to use Pam Grier in that scenario. I wanted Pam and Poms. I love Jackée Weaver.
My friend of the show, longtime listener Kathy, always messages me to say, like, I couldn't figure out this week's connection. You guys did too many people. It was too convoluted. And I was like, Kathy, that is what we will always do. You need to be up to the challenge. So, Kathy, get with the program. Folks, if you like what we are doing, why don't you please do us the immense favor of leaving us a review. You can do that on the Apple Podcast app, or I think, honestly, wherever you're listening to this podcast, Podchaser, whatever, Podstitcher, you know what I'm talking about. Leave us a review. It's the best thing you can do to help us keep doing this thing.
And of course, if you want to hear more of the bullshit that we like to spew, you can follow us on social media. We're at Damien Bellino and Rodeman. That's RODEMANNE. And I think it's very important that you know that Damien spells his name with an A, not an E, because people text me about you and spell your name wrong, and I find it deeply upsetting.
That's right. You might know her from is produced by us. That's Ian with an E, Rodeman, and Damien with an A, Bellino. That wasn't for a dramatic effect. I was literally like maybe going to pass out.
We're doing great. Special thanks to our excellent consultants at Grumpy Entertainment. That's Jason Jude Hill and Danielle Sears. All of the editing that you hear on these episodes is courtesy of that same one half of Grumpy Entertainment, the beautiful Danielle Sears.
We also want to thank Gang for all that music that you hear underscoring each and every episode of You Might Know Her From. You can download and stream Gang wherever you listen to your music.
And hey, if you want to see that clip of Anna Maria Horsford reading a poem on Soul, the show that you should all go watch on Amazon Prime, it's exquisite. A great sort of picture snapshot of Black America in New York City in the 1970s. She looks so good. She's so talented. She is outrageous. Have I sang her praises enough? We love Anna Maria Horsford. Please go look at the show notes. That's where we put every single moment from the show, link out articles, that Fresh Air interview with Rebecca Hall. Everything's going to be in those show notes underneath the episode description.
Speaking of blind items, which we just mentioned, this bumper is only for those Sex and the City / and Just Like That fans. I sent this to you earlier this weekend, but I think it was somewhat recent, a blind item from Crazy Days and Nights, where they revealed, alleged, the instigator for the beef between Kim Cattrall and Sarah Jessica Parker, which allegedly was that during their final season, for their Emmy campaigns, SJP went to HBO and was like, please put more money behind Cynthia Nixon's Emmy campaign and maybe take some of that money away from Kim Cattrall's Emmy campaign. In the end, Sarah Jessica Parker and Cynthia Nixon won the Emmy, and at the Emmy after party, Kristen Davis, who I guess was like, I'm just happy that I was nominated, revealed this to Kim Cattrall, and Kim Cattrall caused a big stink at the HBO after party, which, like, as she should have, but then it, like, trickled down all around the party to, like, the Sopranos cast and whoever else was there, Carnival cast.
Arliss. I hated Arliss.
Yeah, and so it became a whole thing, and I just have to say, like, I know that I love Sarah Jessica Parker. I think she's very talented. Yeah. I don't want to put all of the blame on her, but I feel like the mainstream America has put the blame on Kim Cattrall, and I just want to say that I think the truth lies much closer to the middle.
Completely agree. Justice for Kim Cattrall. This is a Kim Cattrall podcast.